Hi guys, my name is Mark and I'm the pastor of Lutz Digital Church. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to be out here in Austin with everybody. I came in and I was like, holy cow, everybody who's connected to Exponential seems to know everybody else except for me, who knows Jeff. But it's a real honor to be here. I was not always the pastor of Lutz Digital Church. That's only a recent development. For the past 11 years, I have been a discipleship pastor and youth pastor for New Life Christian Ministries in a small town in western Pennsylvania. A church that when I came on board was worshiping a couple hundred people with 6 kids. I was given a youth house and a credit card and said, I want you to bring kids to Jesus inside this town. And we did exactly that. With 6 kids over a course of a couple of years, we grew a youth ministry in a small town with a small school to over 100 kids a week, saw kids come to Jesus, brought leaders into their life and invested in them, saw people commit to 7 years with teenagers. We did everything right. And when they left my ministry, they left our church. And historically, I had been trained through youth ministry training. That's because their professors ruined their faith. But that wasn't true. That was true of my generation. The next generation didn't go away to school. They didn't go to the military. They didn't find jobs. They didn't go to a trade school. They left our youth ministry. They showed up to church one time. They decided it wasn't for them because it wasn't for them. It had been created for an entirely different generation of people. And they didn't come back. And they're not coming back. I remember 5 years ago when I left youth ministry and I took the discipleship role at our church, and I said to my wife, if the church doesn't utterly transform, we are never reaching the next generation. The reality was that there are hundreds, some of our churches, thousands, other churches, hundreds of thousands of people within close driving distance of our church that are never coming. Never. It doesn't matter how comfy our seats, how rocking our band, how many fog machines we have, or how charismatic our preacher, they're never ever coming. They will go to hell, literally to hell, before they will come through the doors of our church. It was just reality. It was around 2019 whenever I started podcasting. For no real reason other than a creative outlet. I had been a gamer my entire life. From as young as I can remember, I was fascinated with video games, tabletop games, role-playing games, you name it, I've played it, including LARPing, which is live-action role-playing, and for those of you who don't know, be happy that you don't know. I've done a little bit of all of it. And in 2019, I started a small podcast on a game that very few people were playing, and I just had a simple prayer: God, redeem my love for gaming. I tried to eradicate it from my life, but as I began interviewing people from all across the globe who played this game and streamed this game, at the end of our interviews, I would simply ask, how can I pray for you? And when they would tell me how I could pray for them, I would actually pray for them, and then God would answer those prayers. At the time, I was reading Henry Blackaby's book, Experiencing God, and in that book, he says, do not create things and ask God to bless it. Instead, look at where God is working and partner with him. And I said, God, you're at work here. What am I supposed to do? And that's when he told me while walking my dog, which I don't even like, by the way, down our street in my small town, Mark, I created you not just as a pastor, but also as a gamer. And I need you to reach them because you speak their language and you know their world. And I said, God, that doesn't work. How are we going to plant a church that can reach gamers? We can't go put one in Chicago or in Florida. We can't put one in Pittsburgh, my hometown. And that's when I realized we needed a church that wasn't held back by brick and mortar. It wasn't held back by timber or steel. I needed a church without a floor plan. I needed a church that was global from day one because gamers were global. And so we started Lux. We started Lux Digital Church to reach gamers who had largely been ostracized, forgotten, or dismissed by the church. To reach people that are never going to be reached unless you reach them with the screen that is in front of their face 12 hours a day. For years, I had told people that Jesus wanted to meet them exactly where they were, and that was true as long as they came to my building, sat in my seats, and listened to my sermon. So instead, we decided to take Jesus to where they were, which is largely over social media and for gamers over twitch.tv. In the long term, it's not our goal to just have a church that exists on Twitch. If you look at modern technology, everything is blended. Every piece of new tech wants to merge with your real life. Every smartwatch wants to have less of a profile. Every new phone wants to look less like a screen and more a part of your reality. AR and VR are here. The truth of the matter is everything that is digital will go physical, and everything that is physical will go digital. Our heart is actually to learn from that guy right there. to learn what KC Underground is doing so that we can equip church planters on a global scale. Gamers who reach out to their immediate communities where it impacts their physical life. While the church wants to impact people's physical life to change how they live digitally, we want to impact people digitally to change how they live physically. In hopes of not just bringing people to the gospel, but so they can build communities in their own neighborhoods and bring people to Jesus, making house churches that create hubs. My dream is to one day gather for an Easter service or a Christmas service, and yes, there'll be people scattered alone in front of their computer screens all across the globe. But in addition to that, our church in Moscow, our church in South Africa, our church in China, our church in Missouri, our church in Florida, our church in Ohio will be gathered together with us as well. In 2019, God called us. In 2020, God kicked us out of the door of the physical church that I had worked for 11 years. He pushed us. On March 24th of 2021, we launched Lutz Digital Church. And on March 31st for our Easter service, my friend Derek, who in his house, he's a self-proclaimed rocker, a professional drummer. He lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On his shelf is a Holy Bible, a Quran, and a Satanic Bible. He's explored all forms of spirituality and has no interest whatsoever, hasn't been to the church in over 10 years, but was searching for truth in a time of crisis. And through Lutz, he found the source of all truth. And with that, he's now not only following Jesus, but he's returning to the physical church and attending our digital church. It's stories of guys like Derek and others. And guys, we've only been around for like 6 weeks, right? I'm going to speak with confidence, but some of these guys, everyone's been doing it longer than me. Let's just be honest. We believe that we can really not only encounter people where they are, but we can see their lives totally and radically transformed with the gospel of Jesus Christ. What I'm asking you to do is partner with us. I'll be honest with you, I don't care about the money. Our God has cattle on 1,000 hills. He paves his streets with gold. Our God builds his walls with gemstones. His gates are made out of singular pearls. He has the money. The money's nice, but we don't need the money. Your thumbs mean more to me than money, because it's the approval that the digital church is a valid form of church. It's an expression of church where people can genuinely meet Jesus and have their lives radically transformed. It's an opportunity to have platform. Because it's not just my heart to start Lutz, it's my heart to help the church reach the post-millennial generations. Generations that are smaller and faster coming than any generations that have ever come before in history. Generations that desperately need Jesus, and generations that we know almost nothing about because we're still spending time studying my generation, the millennials, and we're already getting old. So I'm asking you to partner with us. Partner with us to help us bring a revival to the world through the gospel, through a group of people that the church has largely forgotten about nor cared about. Thank you.